Because if you can predict every move your team makes, I've got news for you, and hate me all you want for saying this, but you're not leading people. You're operating puppets that happen to breathe. Yeah, I know it sounds harsh. Also, if your team is so predictable, ask yourself this too. Who did you hire? Be honest. Did you hire people who make you feel smart? Or people who are smarter than you in the rooms you can't enter? Because a team that doesn't need you is built from people who are, in their own domain, flat out better than you. And that's a specific kind of discomfort. Hi, and welcome to All Things Leadership Podcast, your weekly, office commute friendly, short but not sweet, uncomfortable yet extremely effective, leadership lessons that make you the leader that everybody loves to work with. Episode number 6 today. Wow. And I couldn't be more thankful for all you guys who tune into my podcasts every week and provide me the feedback both on all these social media platforms and personally. By the way, if this is the first time you're listening to me, I am Abhishek Sharma, your host for All Things Leadership Podcast, and what we as a community try to do here every week is to rock the boat, so to speak. I choose topics of radical candor, the ones that corporate training modules conveniently skip. So last week, someone actually asked me where I get all my podcast topics from. You see, I keep talking to people all the time. Some are ex-colleagues, some are just people I happen to know within the industry and such like. There is always one or the other issue someone inevitably surfaces and that I take as an overarching theme for my podcasts. The same happened last week, and I found my topic for today, and I kid you not, it sounded like a contradiction. We spend the first decade of our careers fighting to become needed. And then somewhere around the time we start leading people, the script quietly flips. The work then becomes making yourself redundant. That's the whole idea today. How do you build a team that doesn't need you? And I don't mean that the way it is usually said. I don't mean that you should delegate more, trust your people, get out of the way. Those are posters on a wall. I mean the harder version. The version where you have to look at why, honestly, you like being needed. And keeping true to the very theme I am adopting in my All Things Leadership podcast, the painfully true leadership lessons, let me give you the hard pill to swallow. Being needed feels like purpose. It feels like proof that you matter, that the place would stumble without you. Every time someone knocks on your door with a question that only you can answer, you get a little hit of significance. And that hit, quiet as it is the thing keeping your team dependent on you. You can tell yourself all you want that you're being helpful. The fact remains, most of the time you're making sure that you're being needed and calling it being helpful. If you ask me, well, two different things. Here's a distinction that took me years to see. Need and respect are two very different things. A team can respect you deeply and still not need you for a single decision. Most leaders confuse the two. They think if no one's knocking, they've lost the room. But silence isn't disrespect. Sometimes silence is the sound of a team that's working, and quite honestly, a mark of a leader who has enabled the team so much so that they won't bother the leader for every little thing. So the first move isn't a tactic. The first move is honesty. Ask yourself, with no one listening, if this team ran perfectly without you, how would you actually feel? Relieved? Proud? Or a little bit lost? If your answer is lost, I am not going to blame you. You're not broken. You're human. But now, you know where the real work needs to be done. It's not in the org chart. It's in you. Now, the pivot. The one idea everything else hangs on. Most leaders hand over tasks. They keep the decisions. And they don't notice that decisions are where the power actually lives. You can give away 100 tasks, build a beautiful dashboard of who does what, but if every fork in the road still comes to your desk, you haven't built a team. You've built an audience. And so, the real work you need to do is this. Hand over the decisions, the small ones first. Then the ones that make you slightly nervous. Then the ones you will really find it difficult to delegate. Yes, exactly what you're thinking right now. And yes, they'll get some wrong. The real testimony of your leadership is how you react when they do make a mistake. Now, if you want to know more about how you should react when the team does bring bad news to you, do listen in to the episode 4, where I speak about what is one of the biggest leadership mistakes: punishing the messenger. Anyway, when your people do make mistakes, that's not a failure of the model, that is the model. You see, this is what nobody tells you about rescue. Every time you insert yourself in and fix it, you teach them 2 things. 1, that they weren't really trusted. And 2, that you'll always be there to catch the fall. So why would they ever build the muscle? You have to let the small failures land. A missed deadline that costs nothing. A vendor email that goes out rough. A call that, with hindsight, you would have made differently. Remember, hindsight is always 20/20. Let them feel the full weight of owning it. That weight, right there, is the teacher. You are not. Your rescue feels like kindness. To them, it reads as doubt. And there's a cost to you in all this that we should name out loud. Stepping back is lonely. The meetings get fewer. The decisions you're copied on shrink. There's a stretch where you might even feel like you're being pushed out of your own team, and you'll have to sit with that without flinching. Almost nobody warns you, but I will admit what I have realized in my 15 years of leading teams is that becoming a great leader can feel, for a brief period, like becoming invisible. Now ask yourself this: when was the last time someone on your team made a decision that genuinely surprised you? Not a good surprise, not a bad one, just a decision you didn't see coming. Because if you can predict every move your team makes, I've got news for you, and hate me all you want for saying this, but you're not leading people. You're operating puppets that happen to breathe. Yeah, I know it sounds harsh, but that's why you follow my channel. I am not here to make you feel good about your blind spots as a leader. Also, if your team is so predictable, ask yourself this too. Who did you hire? Be honest. Did you hire people who make you feel smart? Or people who are smarter than you in the rooms you can't enter? Because a team that doesn't need you is built from people who are, in their own domain, flat out better than you. And that's a specific kind of discomfort, which, if you care for, listen to episode 5 where I speak about how to lead smarter people than you, and I promise that will blow your mind. At any rate, you have to be okay being the least expert person in the room. Most leaders are not. Most leaders hire down, a little, just enough to stay comfortable, and then they wonder why nothing scales past them. There's one more thing, and it hides in plain sight: information. In most teams, every piece of information flows through the leader, like a toll booth on a highway. You sit in the middle, people report up to you, you redistribute what you think matters. That makes you the center, and it makes you the ceiling. A team that doesn't need you is a team that talks to each other without routing through your inbox. So share the raw information, all of it, barring the business confidential, of course, the numbers, the customer complaints, the board's real concerns. Give them the same picture as you have, and let them connect the dots themselves. So what do you actually do day to day if you're not the answer key? You become the context. You stop handing out answers and you start handing out the picture. Here's where we're going. Here's why it matters. Here's what we're willing to spend to get there, and here's the line we won't cross. After that, you let them figure out the how. Because the how is where they grow. And the how is where you stop being the bottleneck. And when they do come to you, because they will, change the question you ask back. Stop answering. Start asking, what would you do if I weren't here? Then shut up. The first few times, they'll hate it. They came for an answer and you handed them back the problem. Plot twist, right? Good. That's where their judgment gets built, in the space you used to fill with yours. Here's a quick diagnostic. Look at your calendar this week. How many of those meetings exist because someone needs your nod? Each one is a thread tying the team to you. Cut the thread, replace the meeting with a decision the team can make alone, and watch what happens. The first week, it feels like falling. By the third week, it feels like flying. And there will be a dip. I want to say that plainly, because nobody warns you. When you step back, things get worse before they get better. Decisions take longer. Quality wobbles. You'll be tempted, to grab the wheel back. Don't. That dip right there is the cost of the muscle. Pay it, and give it longer than you think. This isn't a quarter's work. It's 2, maybe 3 years of choosing, every single week, to be a little less needed than you were the week before. That's a long time to feel slightly unneeded on purpose. It's also the only way through. There's a question I think about a lot. If you disappeared for 2 weeks, truly off the grid, would the work slow down, or would it quietly improve? Sit with it for a second. Not the polite answer. The real one. The one you'd only admit to yourself at midnight. Because I've seen and been a part of both. Teams that freeze the moment the boss leaves. Everyone waiting, no one willing to move without sign-off. That's not a team. That's a held breath. And I've seen teams where the boss comes back and finds that people, in their absence, solve problems the boss had been stuck on for months. That's the tell. That's the team that doesn't need you. And here's the part that catches people off guard. When you build that team, you don't become useless. You become free. Free to do the work only you can do. The thinking, the hiring, the clearing of the path ahead. The stuff that always got pushed aside because someone needed a decision by Friday. But you only get there by giving up the thing that felt like your value. Being the one with the answers. Being the one they run to. Being needed. So let me land it where we started. We spend years making ourselves needed, and the best leaders I know spend the years after that undoing it. Not because they're noble, because they figured out that a team built around one person has a ceiling, and the ceiling is that person. Everything you built travels only as far as you can personally carry it. The day you're done, so is the team. Unless you've made yourself replaceable while you were still here. The goal isn't to be forgotten. The goal is to be not needed. And the strange thing is, the team that doesn't need you is the team that will choose you anyway. Not because they have to, because they want to. That's the paradox, and it's a beautiful one. The less they need you, the more they want you in the room, because you've stopped being a dependency and started being a gift. That's the trade. You give up being needed, and you get back being trusted. Trust is quieter. Trust lasts longer. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for listening in and hope that this had added some value. We'll really appreciate if you leave a comment below and let me know what you feel about this. Does this resonate with you? Do you have a different opinion or another strategy that has worked better in your experience? One way or another, let's engage. Speaking of which, why don't you hit the like button and share this with at least one friend or coworker who you think this can be of help. Subscribe to The Learner Abhi on YouTube and Instagram while I go prep for our next episode on all things leadership.